Hey y'all, welcome to Just Between Us. This is the space where we have conversations we don't always talk out loud about love, growth, confidence, healing, and becoming the woman you know you were meant to be without leaving yourself behind. I'm your host, Kimmy, and here we will talk about real life, real relationships, real transformations, and no judgment, no filters, just honesty. So wherever you are, get comfortable, take a breath, because what we're about to talk about is just between us. Welcome back, y'all, to Just Between Us with Kimmy. Yes, and as known as Kimmy Sweets, where we're talking grown tonight. I'm talking about real grown. Because you see what time it is, late night. And
It's
you know
your
what
late.
happens late night, baby. We getting deep, honey. Y'all see who I got? I
Hey
got Kim,
y'all.
these sex therapists, honey, these sex therapists. So we can finna dive straight into it. First, we're going to let her introduce herself. And then we're going to get ready.
Okay. Well, I'm super excited to be here. Kim, thank you so much for having me and thinking about me. It is always a pleasure to see your face. But my name is Kim Dixon. I go by KD, and I am a licensed professional counselor by license and also a sex therapist by niche. I help Black and brown folks. And, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I help mostly Black folks
Mostly.
learn how to prioritize themselves, their pleasure, their desires, their well-being. And I do it from a perspective of breaking past shame and stigma in a way that is also culturally competent. So I am super excited to be here with Kimmy Swedes talking about some, as she said, some grown folks business today.
Grown folks. I mean, we're going to dive right. I'm talking about on the deep end. It could be on the small end too. We finna see. We really finna see. It depends on who you ask, okay?
Right.
So we finna get the expert and we finna talk about it. So without further notice, so listen, y'all, this is the topic. We're talking about big penis and little penis.
Why you whispering like that?
Yeah, because we got the rich. Because back in the day, you can't be too loud with that conversation. It's
Right.
too loud. You got to keep it low. It needs to go low. So we finna see what Kim got to say. And remember now, it's late night, so we can't be too loud.
Right.
We
We got
can't
to
be
keep
too.
it down.
So listen, before you clutch your pearls or unclutch, however you may see it, let's see. Let's have some real conversation with Kim. So, without further notice, we're going to ask you one thing. We're going to get on to it. And the internet talking, and we just got to see, it's a foot long good subway, or should we just still be messing with the 6 inch?
The
Which
six,
one should you think we should do? Does the foot long matter, or can we stay with a 6 inch?
you know, I really like that analogy. I think that's actually a perfect analogy because I could hop in and say yes or no, but it's more complex than that. Just like that foot long from Subway, right? Think I haven't been to Subway in a long time, but I think the $5 foot longs are gone. But people used to love them because you got a foot long for $5. But if we keeping it real, y'all couldn't eat all that. Okay. You got it because of the deal, right? But a
Hmm.
6 inch would have filled you up just fine, right? Did you
All
feel
right.
better that you had a little more? Sure. Was it necessary? Maybe not, right? It depends on the person. So, I'll say it's about preference, but so much more goes into size and what is okay and what can bring pleasure and what can't.
Right. And I like it because, baby, some people walking around here with a whole anxiety, honey, swinging anxiety, not even a blessing. They think they got it going on. Like, what going on here?
Right.
So,
Right.
as you have said, can a 6 inch fill you up and you'll be all right?
You know what? Let me ask you this. What would you say, and this could be personal or even what you've seen on the internet, what would you say is the average size of the male penis lengthwise? Like,
I
if you
don't
had to
know.
just guess, if you know the answer, don't tell me. But if you
I don't
don't
know that.
know, what
I
would
do
you
not know.
say is average?
Maybe 7.
Okay.
Maybe.
So average is 7. So the
I got
average,
somebody saying 6. I
somebody
got
saying
somebody
6.
saying
Okay.
8.
Okay. Okay. So I asked this question and I got, a mix of answers. But the reality is the average size penis is between 4.5 and 5.5 inches
God, no.
in length.
That's medically. That was actually the second question.
Uh-huh.
Medically, is there such a thing as too big or too small? You said the average is 4.
Is between 4 and 5.5. Now girth, because that's just length from if we're measuring a man's penis length, we do it while it's erect, and we go from their pelvic bone to the head of the penis, right? And that's where we get
Mhm.
our length from. The girth is going to be that circumference of the base of the penis, which is the largest part of it. Girth is also between about 4.5 to 5 inches for average. Okay. So that's average. So if
And
we're talking about 7, 8,
you got too much going on.
that's
Okay.
larger, right? But a lot of things go into that. That is a universal kind of study of length, but so much goes into that idea of what is too small, what is too big, what is average. Outside of what we know medically, culturally, a lot of things play a role in that, right? So
Right.
if you are, just say, in our community, Black and brown communities, and we have been hypersexualized.
Right.
We have this trope in the historically as Black folks about the mandingo, right? This big manly man with this big swinging, we'll
Thing.
say, horse penis, right? Something extreme,
Crazy.
right?
Crazy.
Or we watch, people watch porn, right? And
All
they
the time.
see these medically
Mhm.
enhanced or these like ginormous penises, and they start to think, well, oh, okay, well, that's what I'm comparing my size to,
Myself.
or that's what I think my partner should have. But
Uh-huh.
the reality is that's a little bit off. And the more that women can learn about their bodies and what is actually pleasurable, then at that point we can kind of go back to the table with
What it's supposed to be
the
like.
what the size is supposed to be.
Cause baby, this honey in the chat said, cause somebody showed her a 9 inch
Huh?
and the ruler was all she was like, hell no.
She
I'm
said no.
with you. She said no.
Yeah. Also too, I'm gonna call it the sexual experience, okay? I'm not gonna call it intercourse. I'm not gonna call it just sex, because I feel like if we use sexual experience, that covers everything, right? And largely for women, all the other things matter, right? What
Mhm.
happened before, what people would call foreplay, all of those things contribute to if this was a pleasurable experience. So pleasure is not just about, can you fill me up, right?
Right.
It's a full body experience.
Right.
And if we're really being honest, and ladies, come in close, but your vaginal canal, before we talk about getting to your cervix, before you are aroused, it's only about 4 inches long
That's
in
that's
depth.
that's what the regular size supposed to fill up anyway, right? See there? And my mom thought I couldn't add. You see what I'm talking about?
See what I'm saying? It's only about 4, 5, depending on the person,
Yeah.
inches in depth. And so what does that mean? True. Can it get deeper? Yes, because the
Yes.
cervix starts to lift when you're aroused. But about 80% of women, and I'd say more than 80%, but that's what studies show. But I'd say more than 80% of women, or most women, do not orgasm without clitoral stimulation.
Right.
I'm gonna
I
say
say
that.
more. I say more.
More, for sure.
More.
80 is
Yeah.
what you may find in a textbook or in a
Yeah.
study.
Yeah.
But I would say more women than not.
Yeah.
Well over 75% of women do not orgasm without clitoral stimulation. It could be a rubbing,
Yeah.
a hitting, it could be direct contact, but
You got to
that's
do
what
something with it.
they need it, right? And then, and I don't even have my diagram. The clitoris has more nerve, and another thing, the clitoris has more nerve endings than the vaginal canal in general. It has more nerve endings than anywhere else in our body, centralized in our clitoris. What people discount is what you see is not what you get as it relates to the clitoris. Because there
Right.
are also legs of the clitoris that extend, or crura that extend within your body that you cannot see with the naked eye, but they're there and
They're
they
there.
need stimulation. Now, where are most of the nerve endings in your vaginal canal, if you had to guess?
The top. I can't even think of the name, of course.
Okay, the entrance.
Yeah. Well,
Huh?
I said the top no, so that's totally wrong. The
Okay,
entrance.
the entrance.
As you go in. What them kids say?
Right. You know that feeling when it first goes in, you're like,
Yes.
uh-huh, right?
Okay.
That is where most of your nerve endings are in your vaginal canal. Could you imagine having children through that vaginal canal and it's full of nerve ending?
Crazy.
More than what's already there.
Crazy.
Uh-uh. I wouldn't have been having none. Okay. So I'm happy that they are centralized elsewhere. Also, most of the zones that you can get to, so stimulating the legs of the clitoris, which are internal, you can do between 1 and 3 to 4 inches inside the vaginal canal.
Right.
Whether you're coming forward, whether you are kind of hitting up against the walls, generally what you are looking for is going to be no further than 6 inches in depth in the vaginal canal.
Period. That's medically. I like that. Because not only did you gave us what it really is. And I
Yeah.
like that. Because everybody thinks that they knows. And nobody knows anything until you know.
Yeah. And I'm gonna ask your the people who are on your live or in your
Yeah.
chat, have you ever been intimate with someone or heard of someone being intimate with someone who has a who's well endowed per cultural standards and didn't know what to do with it?
So what you're saying, have someone that's bigger and still don't know what to do with. Is that what you're asking?
Hmm.
That's actually what's the third question. Yes. And that's what they're saying. I've had someone bigger and they just lay there. If I wanted a couch potato, I would have got a hold on, let me make sense. Let me hold on. I swear the big one just lay there like a couch.
Like a right. So I got
Girl, if
everything
I
you
wanted
need.
something big and useless, I'd buy a bag chair. Literally, what the people saying. That's what I'm saying. Literally, because
Yeah.
why she had to say that?
You know what I'm saying? Because it's also about technique,
Yes,
right?
yes. So tell me, and before we even get to technique, what actually matters other than size? Because everybody thinks size is this, size is that. And you be like, not really, honey.
Yeah.
It's overrated. What matters? What would be, give me your top three things that I can't even get it in the chat. They like, or I'm like, okay, baby, pipe down. But what actually matters more than the size?
Yeah. I would argue everything, but I'll say intimacy.
Yeah.
So feeling a connection with someone, feeling safe, being able to talk about what you like and what you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So that intimate connection and communication, I think, is definitely important. Someone who is curious and generous, right? So someone who has the desire to figure out what it is that you like and that's being reciprocated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll also say technique. But
Technique.
oftentimes technique comes with intimacy. It comes with
Mm,
trial and error, right? Because if if I have no rhythm and I'm on you like a jackrabbit,
hmm.
that's gonna get old.
That's gonna
Okay.
get old.
It's gonna get old really quick. If I have no technique, it doesn't matter if I have a 4-inch penis or a 10-inch penis. It's only
Yep.
going to be so enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes the larger that you are, women have a tendency to complain about it being painful
Heard.
or experiencing cramping or
Yep.
bleeding after.
After. Yep.
Somebody really can mess up your pelvic floor,
Yep. People
right?
think that that's a myth. It's not. And
It
and
is
and
not.
that's what people I think kind of get. I've had friends and they be like, "That's not it." Actually, my grandmother used to be like, "No,
Right,
no, just no." Like you always just because it caused so many other issues.
right,
And at that time, no, she can't tell us that, but you can hear her and her friend like, I ain't gonna do that. Like, no, you don't let nobody mess. That's what you don't let nobody mess you up.
right,
When you get around older people, they talk like, don't let nobody mess you up. Cause at that time, especially if they're bigger, of course you have the proper word, but I'm gonna say bigger.
right,
They not really caring about if they hurting you or none of that because what? They're the prize, right? So initially it's like, okay, cool, you should want me to do this. And they get in there and you toe up about it.
right,
You ain't hit the cleat. You ain't thought about this. You ain't thought about that. Guess what you doing? Toe up when you get up.
right, right. And you
It's
going
like
directly in.
it's
You
going
missing
directly
all
in.
this action
Yeah,
on the sides,
yeah.
okay? Because your vaginal canal, people may think that it's straight up, but depending on the person, it may curve, it may do all these
Hmm.
things. But the walls of it, so inside of it, along the inside, there's that clitoris. So
Hmm.
if you're going straight up and you're just following the natural flow of the vagina, you missing all the action on the
You
side.
missing all the action on the sides. Y'all hear that, don't it? So listen, because we ain't got no mean in this chat. So you go and tell them, baby, you missing everything. I need everything, Tish, because see, that's where the nerves at. Why you
Right,
just going straight up and down like you know what you're doing, and you don't.
right, right. And don't stay just down there. We got a whole body,
A
right?
whole body. Did you hear
And
that?
what I will also say, I'm gonna do a little plug for the men with the smaller penises, okay? And then we'll get back to the big ones, just because I feel like big penises, whatever that is, they get a lot more love, okay?
Yeah.
When you have a smaller penis, you can do more positions, right? You cause less cervical pain.
Yes.
You can have intercourse longer with
Longer.
less discomfort, right? Because when you got that big one, after a while, you're
You
going to
got to get
start
out.
getting sore,
And you
right?
got to get out. You
You
got to
know,
get out. It does not
right,
matter. You got to get out. They can say what they want to say. You got to get out. Baby, get out.
right,
Give me a break. We'll talk about it another day.
right. I can't do it no more.
I can't do it no more. We're done with
And
this.
here's a special one. If you're a little size challenged, it allows you to tap into your creativity to use other things, whether that be your hands,
Yep.
whether that be toys, whether that be oral. I cannot tell you how many clients I have had to say, well, I was pleasantly surprised. His dick was little, but he gave me some fire head. Okay.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I've heard so and actually that's the thing I think they don't even understand. So I'll tell you, bro, we good with that. We're just trying to get
Right.
to the end. We're just trying to get because honestly, if we love you, if we care about you, if we with all of those things, we're all
Right.
with that anyway. We knew that's what you had anyway. If our feelings and stuff are mutual and that's what we roll with,
Yeah.
right? But you pull that big one out, I'm gonna be like, where you going?
Right. What we gonna do with
What
this?
we finna do this?
Now I'm not saying back down from a challenge.
No, no.
Okay.
We're just saying, stay in your lane.
Right. Because I would say it is arguably more comfortable to have experience with someone who is smaller with no technique than someone who is large with no technique, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're, either way, you need to know your body and you need to know at least the desire of your partner and their body. Because if you're big, right,
Mm-hmm.
you can feel the vaginal canal up more, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of women find that more pleasurable. You also have free range to hit these zones within the vagina if you know where they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? If she knows where they are, if she can tell you how to do it, if you're not so anxious to just put it
Get in
all
there.
in.
Yeah.
Because remember, I told you most of your zones, and I'll say your G spot, for example, it's about 2 or 3 inches up. I'd say about 2 inches up and forward, like towards your belly button. Okay, we'll say towards your belly button. So in and up. And you'll feel ridges there. But if you have a huge penis, you can still get to it if you know where it is. You
Mm-hmm.
apply that pressure, but that's going to require that you're not in so deep. Maybe you're a little shallow, but you don't have to have the whole thing inside to bring about pleasure. So a
Right.
big penis can work, an average one can work, a small one can work as long as the connection is there, the intimacy is there, as long as there's open communication, as long as there's some type of comfortability and also technique.
Right.
Now, if you're too small, like if you have a micro, that's another story, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about
Regular.
average, a little below average,
Yeah.
and larger. Now, if you have a micro, once again, it's not the end all be all. Remember, I
No.
told you pleasure is a full body experience.
Right.
You have to be creative in working
Right.
your strengths. Because, like I
Right.
said, the reality is most women do not orgasm. I was going to say come, same thing. Do not come from vaginal penetration anyway.
Right.
So
Vaginal.
there's hope
Yeah.
for you all.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the same time, I mean, other than you do not come from vaginal penetration, and that's fine. You just said if you got the regular size, which is 4 to how long?
4.5 to 5.5 inches.
That's the regular. That's the
Yeah, that's
normal.
average.
And then you got a regular size uterus.
Right.
It works out.
Right.
It works out.
Right.
You know, because either you're stuffing it, and that's not no, you're not getting what you need there, or either you're trying to beat it in,
Right.
which going to cause pain and hurt or whatever.
Right. And you also have to know your body type,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
If you are talking to, if you're a man and you're talking to a bigger woman, okay,
Hmm.
we'll say she's curvy, she got a big booty,
Big booty,
she a little thicker. We're gonna say she a BBW.
BB,
Okay. And you are also a really big man,
big man.
right? Not to say that you all can't have a pleasurable experience together, but you're going to have to get creative, right? Because you got to make that thing reach. It don't matter how big or small it is. It's almost like when you see real big women with these little bitty men,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, how does that work? Easy. He can get to it, right?
You know something? It's crazy. A story. Okay.
Okay.
And it's crazy because how guys think and how we think. We think that this is what we supposed to happen. But I seen this real big girl. I
Yeah.
mean, she was big, but she didn't have backside, right?
Uh-huh.
And so we like, wow, how does that work? And the man was like, oh, that's the best kind because we don't have to go through the ass to get to the vagina. I was like,
Right.
they was like, that's where we look for it. I was like, I never even thought of it like that.
You
And
gotta know
that's the
what works.
creative side of what he was like. That. And that's probably why, like you just said, the body type, what you got going on. And that's probably why people go for that.
Yeah. And it puts you in a position where you have to be creative for it
You
to be
have to be
pleasurable.
creative.
Right? So I have to try different positions. I have to move around a little bit. I have to work on my technique.
Yeah.
because it's a little bit more of a challenge. But really, all of us should be taking that kind of initiative, right?
Right.
I
Right.
can get in this way with no problem. But what if I try it this way?
Right.
What if instead of going straight in, I go to the side and come out and kind
Right.
of make circles, right? So what if I come out and go against the wall and then come out and go against the other wall? You see what I'm saying? It makes you develop a technique.
Right.
So it could work. You just have to be creative.
You got, and remember, she said all the nerves is at the entrance, which is near the clitoris. Okay.
Okay.
You get the point? Do you get the point? I'm just saying, okay. We ain't got no mans, but you tell your man, baby. Hey,
Right.
look, question though, Doc, and I know you've seen and heard a lot of things, and I'm sure friends. Why, why men base their whole confidence on their penis size?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Do they
culture.
get like a badge of honor, or I mean, what is it? Why you this and this what you get? Like, why? Why?
Yeah. So, how do I say this? Number one, it's intergenerational, right? We talked a little bit earlier about how Black men and also women are hypersexualized, and our men are looked at in a light of being aggressive and
Mhm.
hyper masculine and, sex addicts in a way. And so when you hear and you are taught, not just directly, but in messages outside of yourself and just say your family, then you start to feel like, well, if that's what a man is, that's what I'm supposed to be.
Mhm.
Right. And we know men have egos and,
Don't we know?
shame. You
Don't
said,
we know?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mhm.
And so that essentially becomes something that they carry with them and it just kind of sticks. Is it healthy? Absolutely not.
No.
But it's going to take conversations like this one to be able to help combat that. It's kind of the same logic as why do Black women feel the need to be strong and do everything
Mhm.
on their own?
Yeah.
Right? It's a loaded question. It's how we have been conditioned, and
Okay.
now we are pushing back against that. But what I will say for my women out there, and I'm speaking of women who are in heterosexual relationships or who want those types of relationships or being in relationships with cis men, oftentimes cis men learn a lot about themselves in the world from their partners or the women in their lives.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. Right.
Which is no shame in that, right? But women are just stepping into largely, and this is not everyone, because we have a lot of movements where women are tapping in more with their sexuality. But now we are in a space where more women are starting to become more aware and more curious about their bodies and their pleasure. And so as we learn, we can also teach them. And as we teach them, that will filter over, right? Because if, my theory is just say most women don't have an orgasm until, it's not uncommon to talk to a woman and she's in her 40s and she's never had an orgasm before.
Right.
Well, why is that? That's for a lot of reasons, lack of knowledge, lack of openness and space created for you to explore. But if I can't explore, then I don't know what I like. I don't know what's pleasurable. I don't know where these things are for myself. And if I don't know, then that leaves us with a generation of men who also don't know.
Don't know.
Right. So if we want to have more pleasurable sex with our partners or future partners, or even with, you know, the flavor of the week, this stretches across the board. The only way we're going to be able to do that is if we first learn what pleasure looks like and feels like within ourselves, and we get the confidence and the comfortability to be able to have those conversations with our partners.
What's the biggest myth you done heard? Have you heard between big versus small? They'd be like, once you go big, you don't go back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So rent is high. Sometimes we go back and forwards. You know what I'm saying? What's some of the
right.
stuff you've heard?
I think the biggest myth that I've heard is that bigger is better.
Yeah.
like I said, to take it back to the Subway sandwich, okay? It's like I could get a foot long for $5 at one point. But now that the footlongs are like $8, give
I
me
think I can do a six.
But what else do you get with a six?
Chips and a drink.
And you have the ability to enjoy both,
And
right?
sometimes a cookie.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Whereas if you get
Meal.
a six, I mean, if you get a foot long, that's all you got room for.
That's how I got. You are
You
exactly
can't
right.
enjoy your cookie. You got some chips over here. They want some attention too. You got your drink. You can't even
I
drink
can't
it.
even drink it.
You still haven't eaten this whole foot long.
See what I'm saying? But if I would have got that six, I would have been able to eat all that. And would have been
I
just
may
fine.
have been able to enjoy it all. And maybe I got a 6 inch and a chips and a drink and a cookie for $6 and I didn't even eat the whole 6 inches. Maybe I only ate three, but I had chips, I had cookie, I had a drink, and I enjoyed them all.
And I
Okay.
was okay.
So
And I
both
was okay.
of them, both big and small, can be pleasurable if the environment is right, if the vibe or if the connection is right. But if we talk about what's needed, if you have technique and the intimacy and you're open and you desire to pleasure your partner and also be pleasured, what's needed is another conversation
Yes.
because we don't really need a whole lot.
Not, we really don't. And especially when you really have given us the things that we could just go straight to. We don't need all that. We just want I think they just want us to have it sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have all of that.
Yeah.
Now,
And most of the time, we don't know. Women don't know. And
mm-mm,
so that's what I do in my work, right? Just say you've had enjoyable sex. Just say that you know, you have pretty good sex, but you want to learn more about your body. You want to learn more about what does it for you. You want to learn more about how cultural messages impact your ability to explore sexually or comfortability or to be able to have conversations about sex with your partner or other people. That's what I do, right?
okay.
Because it's always best to know what works for you and be able to communicate that to improve the sexual experience regardless of size.
Okay. Now, before we get off, because we wrapping this up, I got some stories. It's
Okay.
Q&A, okay? They have already sent them in, so we gonna, start with them. They cutting up, honey,
Okay.
okay? I don't know what my chat. See, that's this late night. That's this late night chat.
Right.
That's what
Right.
we up, honey. This one here says, girl, he was fine, tall, beard, waist, pants came off, and I blinked and missed it. I
She said
wasn't
she blinked like this
like it was
and it wasn't there.
I wasn't ready. Oh my God. Girl, you my first one.
Okay.
Not a sneak attack, like boo.
So not to fret. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Don't worry. All
Don't
right. She's like, I don't know how I'm not gonna worry. I'm in a panic. It's nothing to work with.
is it
The
all
the
bad, Doc? Is it all
No,
bad?
no, no, no.
Okay.
The lengths that I gave you, even with that 4.5 to 5.5 inches, that is erect. And erect is the fully flowing with blood. Okay.
Okay.
Flaccid can be significantly shorter than that. And a lot of times men are growers and not showers. Okay. So
Okay.
maybe it just wasn't
Fully.
erect yet.
Fully.
Full.
Okay, girl, we got the opposite on this letter here. I'm reading this like, oh my. She said he was huge.
Hmm.
Why would God do that to me? Huge. Baby, she done put God in it. Girl, have you ever prayed before sex like for protection?
Right.
Not for protection, but survival. It's too
Listen.
big, hard. Wait, we know it can cause harm. We talked about that in discomfort. Is that why
Right.
they? See, that's why you need that small one. I'm telling you right now.
More women than you think prefer average. Right. More women than you would think prefer average penis. But once again, If you over there with, someone who is well endowed, don't fret, right? Because if they can communicate, they are patient, they have
Mhm.
technique, or are willing to be guided or kind of talk through it can still be very pleasurable,
Yeah.
right? But if you have someone who's anxious, maybe dealing with some performance anxiety, or their ego is really big, so they don't feel like they have to do anything, then maybe it's not the most pleasurable. But if you
Right.
have someone who has good technique or minimally good communication and the intimacy is there, that could be a fun ride to go on to. Jesus loves all his children.
She put God in it. I mean,
Hallelujah.
you had to bring it on around. Uh, and Christmas is on its way.
Okay.
I final story, honey. Wow. He was small, but baby, I held onto that headboard like a roller coaster. No, sis.
Not a roller coaster.
See,
A
that's with
roller
the
coaster.
small seasonal energy. Okay. Okay. She said that small dick gave the best.
Okay.
Skill
See,
matter, just like you've been saying.
you got to
Way more
know.
than inches. I said, okay.
And also confidence, right? So there's this term that I hear often about BDE, right? You know what BDE is?
No.
Big dick energy. Okay.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with size. It's about confidence,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I like
And
that.
so if you are a man who may be a little smaller or maybe bigger or average, it doesn't matter, and you are confident
Yeah.
in your ability to please, confident in your ability to communicate,
Right.
confident in your ability to not just connect with her in the bedroom, but also stimulate her outside of the bedroom. And you're confident in that. Women love confidence.
Yes, it's a turn on. That's extra to turn on. If you
Uh-huh.
confident, you talk to me. You help me through.
Yeah. Because like we said, it's not a, you know, it's not a whole lot of nerve endings
Mm-mm.
that are touched during intercourse that aren't the clitoris. Right?
And I'm glad you talked about big dick energy. Our episode before you was sexual energy from women. So
Okay.
a man is the big dick energy. And it's really about what you smell like, how you enter a room, what you
Confident.
look like, how you carry yourself. And I like that. And
Yeah.
you ain't got to have nothing because we ain't even looking at
Yeah. And
that
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Women have big dick energy too. Okay.
period.
Okay.
I'm talking about
So
big, the big one.
the biggie.
Foot long.
A woman, and this is on to another topic. This is why you are seeing, and I'm talking about within what is appropriate and legal. Okay, so I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna say that again, within what is appropriate and
And
legal.
legal.
That is why you see so many people be attracted to older women,
Yeah.
because generally they've had time to get to know themselves.
Yeah.
They aren't falling for anything. They're confident in what they talk about. What you see is what you get. You can like it or not like it. That kind of confidence is attractive. The
Big.
same thing with men.
Mm-hmm.
Biggie Smalls was Biggie, okay? But he carried himself in a way that women were attracted to him. It's that confidence.
Yes.
So, regardless of your size or your length or your width, you still have the ability to please your partner and get pleasured from your partner.
You're
You want to be creative and focus on things outside of just penetration. Focus on exploring the body, focus on exploring what you like and you don't like, look into anatomy, talk to a therapist, do some personal work so that you can break past and also understand these stigmas that have been attached to sexuality and the sexual experience, and it will automatically translate in the bedroom. So, I'm excited for y'all. And I'm really excited to have this conversation because honestly, Why we gotta wait till the nighttime to talk about it?
Oh, we don't. We can wait till the morning, honey. We need to put
Right.
you on a we need to put
We
you in
don't want you to
rotation.
be waking up in the morning, you shame.
We need to put you in rotation, honey. We need to
Absolutely.
get us some midday action.
Right.
And so if nothing else from this today, we really know that size ain't always skill.
Right.
Confidence comes from connection.
Yes.
And baby, big ones don't fix bad sex, and small ones don't always make good sex. It is you, you
Right.
know. At the end of the day, it's not the size, it's the motion of the ocean, like the old folks say.
That's true.
And the
That's
captain
that
that know what
technique.
they're doing, honey.
Right. Right.
Okay.
That's that technique that they used to be telling us about. That motion is
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. And thank you guys for tuning in to Just Between Us with Kimmy and
Katie
yes, baby. Well, women are becoming our best selves and we dragging them men along with us, baby.
and
Honey.
women. Come on.
And women, you see it. Share this episode, please. And
Yeah.
please, the group chat was popping, baby. I want to say thank you to y'all. Thank everybody for tuning in and have an amazing day. Thank you, Kim. Bye-bye.